Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I am going to be sharing with you a quick and easy and low carb dinner for two recipe. This dish is shrimp in a reduced cream, sun-dried tomato and spinach sauce on top of lightly blanched asparagus. Ingredients for this dish: olive oil, a whole lot of garlic, about 2.5 to 3 ounces of fresh baby spinach, a 1/4 cup of wine. I'm going to be using rosé, but I would recommend Pinot Grigio. This is just all I had in my kitchen. A 1.25 cups of heavy cream, 1/3 to 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. I got these really nifty smoked ones that are delicious, but if you can't find these in your store, regular old sun-dried tomatoes are still delicious. Some fresh cut basil, salt and pepper, of course, delicious shrimp. I've got about 8 ounces of shrimp here, so that'll be 4 ounces per person, and a pound of fresh asparagus, so 8 ounces per person. Let's get started. I always like to start with getting any water on the stove that I need to bring to a boil, which I have here. This is going to be cooking our asparagus in a little while. So I'm going to put a good amount of salt in this water, and that is going to ensure that our asparagus isn't so flat. It's going to be nice and seasoned as soon as we drain it. And I'm just going to keep that on a simmer as we work. Up front, I've got a small little saute pan that I'm going to add a little bit of oil to. Mix it around. And I'm going to start off with probably about a tablespoon of oil. And I've got this on a medium-high heat. You just want to cook up this garlic a little bit. You don't want it to burn. So now we're going to add in our spinach. It does look like an enormous amount of spinach here, but this is going to shrink down into next to nothing. And in that same bowl, we're just going to place a nice little strainer, so when our spinach is done cooking, we can strain off any excess liquid from it. You don't want to save that, because later on when we add it into our cream sauce, it's going to thin it down and you won't get that really nice velvety feel. It'll be more like water. So I'm just tossing this spinach around. I'll add a little bit of salt. Once your spinach is nice and wilted, you can take it out of this pan and put it into that strainer. And that's just going to sit here while I start the rest of the sauce. You can put your pan right back onto the same heat. Add a touch more oil. And more garlic. And just like we did for the spinach, we're going to cook this down. Again, not trying to brown it, just start to kind of get it aromatic. Your house is going to smell so good like garlic smell. After that has cooked down, you're going to add your wine to your pan to deglaze. And you want to boil this wine down, or reduce this wine down by at least half. And the big thing that you want to make sure is that all the alcohol that's in the wine is out. Because once I add the cream into this, if there's any alcohol left, it's just going to curdle our cream rather than letting it be really nice and velvety. This takes a little bit, maybe a minute or two. So this is kind of my time that I'd say, I'm going to go pour myself a glass of wine. But since I'm teaching you guys today, I'm going to use this little bit of an intermission to teach you another thing. Asparagus. When you buy asparagus from the store, the best way to keep it, take it home, cut off the ends, and store it upright in some water in your refrigerator. This is going to extend the life of your asparagus. So rather than a few days, you'll probably get up to a week. Then, when you're ready to cook it, the very bottom typically is pretty woody and tough to chew on, not tender and delicious like the top. So the best way to find out where that part begins, grab your asparagus and give it a snap. And now it's ready to cook. All right, so our wine is reducing down beautifully. It's starting to smell more like sweet grapes rather than when you take a smell of it boiling, it burns your nostrils from the alcohol. That's telling me this is ready for the cream. Give that a light stir. And now, just like our wine, we're going to reduce this down by about half, or until it coats the back of a spoon, and when your finger runs through it, it holds in two lines on the spoon rather than running down. I'll show you what that looks like once it gets there. All right, so our sauce has reached the consistency that I'm looking for, and I am going to show you guys how to test it. Get a large spoon, sweep it through the sauce, shake off any excess, and then run your finger through it. If you don't get immediate drips, your sauce is ready. At this point, you want to add in your sun-dried tomatoes. That is going to let them hydrate. When you're stirring it, you can start to feel that it's not just like stirring water anymore. It does have a little bit of resistance on whatever you're using to stir it. I am now going to season with some salt, a little pepper, I'm going to add in our fresh basil. Go ahead and kick off your heat. Last step is going to be your spinach. Just to make sure you get as much liquid out of it as possible, I like to press it in the strainer. And then you're going to add that in. It looks almost like macaroni and cheese sauce. Very thick. All right. That is looking beautiful. Now, I'm going to do a switcheroo. And I'm going to put this pan aside and have another small saute pan. While my other pan heats up, I'm actually going to taste my sauces to make sure that my seasoning is right. Yummy. Okay, if you can find that smoked sun-dried tomato, get that because it almost has a bacony flavor to it without the bacon being in it. That's money. All right, so our pan is nice and hot and ready for our shrimp. So, because our shrimp is going to take no time at all, I am going to get our asparagus into the boiling water because that's not going to take more than a minute or two, and neither is the shrimp. Nice hot pan. A little more olive oil. A little more garlic. And shrimp will go right in. A little black pepper. Just a pinch of salt after tasting my sauce. That was really nicely seasoned with salt, so I don't need that much more. You don't want to overcook your shrimp. As soon as they're nice and pink, they're done. You don't need to take them past that. Now, if you like your asparagus to be kind of on the limp side, you could start that with about like 4 or 5 minutes for your shrimp to be done. I like mine to be a little bit crunchy, so I start it with my shrimp. I basically am just heating it through. All right. See, seriously fast. I'm gonna get that shell out of there. Ugh. Shrimpies are done. I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to drain our asparagus and then we're going to plate. All right, I'm so looking forward to tasting this. Low carb, I think a lot of people think is pretty boring. When you can mix it up with dishes like this, it makes you feel like you're not missing anything. Like, I would order this at a restaurant and be super satisfied. So creamy. The reduction of that cream, it makes that sauce so delicious and velvety. But that smoky tomato, wow. It adds a zing, but because it's that smoked tomato, it kind of adds almost like a little bacony note to it. It's super delicious. A great way to switch up weeknight meals. Honestly, start to finish, this is a 20-25 minute dinner. Perfect way to kick it up in your kitchen and impress your family. Thanks so much and enjoy.
Thanks so much for cooking with me today. Stay tuned for the next episode and don't forget to like and subscribe.